Welcome to this week's episode of LAOFCS Weekly. We are here and we're going to be talking about award predictions and Anna and the Apocalypse. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
Hey everyone, Scott Menzel here. Welcome back. We had a week off last week for Thanksgiving. I don't know what I was going to say, for vacation, which it is a mini vacation for me every week. Thank you so much for joining us. I, of course, am Scott Menzel. I am the founder of this organization, as well as We Live Entertainment. But joining me today, and if you're curious about this song that was playing, it's from this movie called Anna and the Apocalypse, which we will be talking about very shortly. But first and foremost, my panel today, let's start with the man, the myth, the legend from Forbes. Who is this? Who is this man I'm talking to? He may be the other Scott M. He just may be another Scott M. Go for it, man.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here as always. Thank you for that lovely introduction.
You're welcome.
I hope to live up to that. And one of these days, I'll become so legendary that every time I walk into a room, the theme from Hunchback of Notre Dame will play.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Oh, you want me to do that?
You're next.
I'm hearing the song. I'm like, I'm wanting to sing along. My God. Jimmy O from JoBlo. I love it. Love being here. Thanks for having me.
I always love having you guys on. It's always a pleasure, and you're so fun and so animated. That's what I love about it.
I try to be.
Yeah.
I try to be.
Mendelson, especially, look at him. He's really animated today.
I'm
I'm
feeling
full
it.
of energy and fervor.
It's amazing.
You're
I
going to
love
be
it.
dancing out of the aisles later.
Yes, you will. Oh my gosh.
Yes, you will. So here we're going to run this show today. So as you may recall, we used to follow a formula here on this show, but because we're in peak award season right now, those rules went all out the window. So we only do the movie pick of the week, and then we talk about some random award stuff. Because we're voting, we do have a critics organization. That is why we have this show, and we are doing our nominations this weekend, and the full list will be posted on Monday. Check your emails, check Newswires, wherever the hell you go for news. It'll be posted on Monday. But we're going to talk about our predictions of our personal choices for nominations for a couple of categories. But first and foremost, we need to talk about the movie pick of the week. I'm going to let you announce the movie pick of the week today, Mr. Jimmy O.
I'm honored. Well, after a pretty great week, I'm really happy to say Anna and the Apocalypse is our movie pick of the week. And it is so utterly deserving. I'm in love with this movie. Every bit of it. It's a musical, Christmas, zombie, rom-com, drama, everything.
Coming of age film.
If you like Shaun of the Dead and La La Land and the Buffy musical, you are in for a treat. That's all I'm saying.
There you go.
Well, I'll say more, but
yeah, I feel bad. I don't want to ruin this for Mendelson, but I just really I love this film too. I think it's just an incredible, just a fun out there movie. It's not flashy. It just embraces what it is. The music numbers work. It moves the story forward. The cast is so lovable. You don't really know most of these people, but they're so great in the roles.
And it has depth.
You
actually care.
And you care about the characters.
You care.
Yes.
And it's gory. It's actually gory. This is one of those rare genre mashups that just works every genre. The musical, the numbers are. I have the soundtrack. It's in the car. I'm listening to it all the time. The gory stuff is great, and that cast. I can't. Yeah, you can't say enough about them.
No,
they are delightful, and Ella is amazing as
Ella
Anna.
Hunt, Michael DeQuinta.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're friends with him, if you guys know him. I've known him for a couple of years now. Me and him are musical fanboys. We always talk about musicals whenever we see each other. And he made a prediction that she should get the lead role in Wicked when they announced the movie.
I agree.
And I agree with him.
Yeah.
So I'm just, every time I have an opportunity to say that somewhere publicly, I'm going to be saying that.
And I'm going to plug this really quick since we're doing the at the ArcLight in Hollywood this weekend, Saturday at 8:30 and 9:30, and Sunday at 5, I'm going to be moderating a Q&A with the director and one of the cast members of Anna and the Apocalypse. And please come. I mean, if you're in the LA area, please come, because I swear to God, you're going to be singing in the aisles. It's amazing.
All right, we will not spoil this movie anymore for Scott Mendelson.
I'm seeing it in about 3 hours.
Yes, I hope it lives up to the hype.
Doesn't have to.
I've been
He'll be
talking.
like, it's okay.
Yeah,
It's all right.
It's all right. It's all right. All right, so
Is it better than Boy Erased?
I like Boy Erased
I
a
like
lot.
Boy Erased.
Yeah,
It
I
made
like
me
Boy
mad,
Erased a lot.
but I
I
liked
like
it.
the miseducation of Cameron Post much better.
Did you?
Yeah,
I'm actually the reverse on that.
fair enough.
Interesting.
I didn't see that one, so I can't
That was
judge on
that was a joke that backfired into a digression. Back to the subject at hand.
Darn.
No, we're going to move into award season, so you did make a good segue.
Brilliant.
All right, so we do something very different here at the LAOFCS, and we break down our category for director. We do best male director and best female director. I know that this is tends to be a little bit of a controversial choice.
What doesn't in this day and age?
And it's kind of funny that we're talking about this with an all-male panel today. But so be it. But we put this to a vote this year to make sure if we wanted to keep this category or not, or just put it as one. And most people want it as 2 categories. And I think until the industry starts, producing more love for female filmmakers and female
Agreed.
talent, this is a good place to have, and I'm glad we're able to celebrate so much work of great female filmmakers and writers and things of that nature. So let's start with that category. Who do you have, Mendelson, for this?
Deborah Granick for Leave No Trace.
Okay.
This is her follow-up to Winter's, not sequel, but it's her next film after Winter's Bone. It came out this summer. It was one of the under-the-radar indie films, but it still made about $6 million, which by today's standards is actually pretty impressive. It stars Ben Foster, and I'm going to mispronounce her name, Thomasin McKenzie, who also deserves some awards love in a more fair world. And it basically involves a war vet and his teenage daughter who live quite literally off the grid. They live in the forest. They live wherever they can, make a home for themselves. He is dealing with PTSD, and this is his, for better or worse, way of coping. And the film details how their lives change once they are, this is first act stuff, once they are discovered and sort of forced to live in something resembling a more conventional, quote unquote, civilized, environment. It's very moving. It's very low key. It's very grounded, and it's very good. It's excellent. It's one of the better films of the summer, if not the year. I haven't done all that tiddlywinks yet.
Yeah.
And as someone that would like to see more movies from her more than once every 8 years, I did think it deserves a shout out.
Good. How about you? Who's a pick for you?
It's a hard one. I'm kind of right now in between as favorite. I really like Lynn Ramsey. I've always liked her. I like what she and of course You Were Never Really Here. I think it's a really interesting movie. And I just saw it finally. I don't know if I would call the movie great, but as a director, I'm like, yeah, I think she did an incredible job. And Joaquin is amazing. So I really like that one. But I also like Karen Kusama, what she did with The Destroyer. I think it's visually just an impressive work between her and Nicole Kidman. Maybe not the movie itself is a great film, but those two together, yeah, those are two probably my top picks so far, but I've got more to watch this weekend.
It's interesting because you pick Lynn Ramsey, who's also on my list. I would that's probably near the top.
Yeah.
I did not love Leave No Trace as much as you did. I know
You're wrong.
I know I'm wrong. It's completely fine. I'm
watching it this weekend.
But I will say that the direction of that movie is very solid, and I get what it's going for, and I do appreciate it for what it is. I just didn't fall in love with it as much as other people did.
This could be a deal breaker.
Yep. I want to give some love to someone else. Speaking of a female director who doesn't get to have her voice very often, and that is Tamara Jenkins for Private Life, which I feel is one of the most underrepresented films this year. It came out at Sundance, and I don't know if it's suffering because of the fact that it's Netflix and they're really pushing Roma, but I feel like there just has not been enough talk about this film. not only because of her superb direction, but also for Paul Giamatti and Catherine Hahn, just remarkable together. Two people who you look at the names and you look at them on paper and you say, there's no way that these two people should be in a movie together, and they're just perfect together.
I don't think there's any movie that Catherine Hahn shouldn't be in. She's amazing.
She has so much range. She has so much range.
Everything. One of my favorites.
Yeah. Do you have another pick for this category?
Actually, those were my next few picks.
Oh, okay. Interesting. How about for you?
The movie I know it didn't get love, but I actually thought as a film, again, beautiful movie was Mary Queen of Scots. Josie Rourke. It's I had to look up the name. It's such a beautiful movie. I mean, I'm loving this kind of trend of women leading these films. Like you have Saoirse Ronan and you have Margot Robbie, and directed by a woman, and it's really cool. It's a beauty. I'm a sucker for period pieces, so like I like that kind of history. Although there is another period piece I like better, which we'll talk
about
that
a little bit later.
But I would go with that. That would be probably my 3 top choices for now. I have a couple to watch this weekend.
The one that I wanted to point out that I think people are totally glancing over, and I mean, maybe it's just my love of the 2 lead actors in this, as well as just how much this movie works for me, is Set It Up, Claire Scanlon. For that movie. This is just a throwback to just the way that rom-coms used to be and how delightful they were. And it has such a great cast led by Zoe Deutsch. And I just really, really, really enjoyed the hell out of this movie. And I feel like this movie, again, it was one that had a very nice life during June when it first came out. And then it kind of just sizzled away, and no one's really talking about it now. But
well, I mean, to be fair, I don't think it was considered an awards picture. And what I liked about it, A, it's good. B, it showed that while Netflix has been struggling with comparatively blockbustery type pictures, they've actually found a bit of a niche in the mainstream romantic comedy because of the comparatively low expense, the comparatively low production values, and the emphasis on writing and acting and character chemistry. They can create things like Set It Up or All the Boys Love.
I Loved Before, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's good.
You're thinking
not Mandy Lane.
Alex Strangelove.
Yeah, The Kissing Booth, which is a good movie, but I'm not the demographic. Where they can, in fact, approximate the old 1980s and 1990s romantic comedies, where it does feel as good as the quote-unquote multiplex-friendly versions of that specific subgenre.
I don't want to go too much into detail about this, but I'm glad you brought this up. I feel like where Netflix is really succeeding right now is in that, like, the teenage romantic comedy demographic. I just watched Sarah Burgess is a Loser, which I really enjoyed as well. I was not that big a fan of All the Boys I Loved Before, but I get where the demographic was for that, and I understand why that works. Alex Strangelove. The other thing that I've noticed they're doing, and I know you don't agree with this, but what I've noticed this new trend is that they're doing these slew of holiday movies that seem to be trending really well.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Netflix is going to really start succeeding, is that I think they need to move away from the big budget movies, and they just need to focus on like these almost, I don't want to say like they're made for TV movies, but those types of movies, ones that have a smaller budget and could just have a few, have its specific audience. And I think that's going to work for them.
I think in an earlier time, 1980s, 1990s, late 90s especially, you did have TV movies that looked like polished professional films.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I'm not talking about the early 90s ripped from the headlines crime whatever.
Those are my
favorite.
favorite.
Like 5 Amy Fisher movies.
Favorite.
I have a fun. Yes.
Mother May I Sleep with Danger is one of my favorites.
That is the greatest title of all time.
Oh my God, so good.
But yes, I do agree with you on that. And I think I do hope that they are pulling back on trying to have the next Hollywood blockbuster. A, because all due respect, so far they're not very good at it, and B, because quite frankly, I think the multiplex blockbuster is getting better.
Yes.
So I think if this year, in the last 2 years, I think we've had a very strong, quote unquote tentpole, quote unquote event movie offerings. So if you can have stuff that's worth going to see in a theater, along with sort of forgotten genres that are very good on Netflix,
Yeah.
they both win. So they're not constantly competing with each other.
I agree.
I agree.
I completely forgot. Let me give a quick shout out to Maria Heller's "Can You Ever Forgive Me?"
Oh, yeah.
Is a very well directed movie that I think will probably fall under the radar, at least for her, because it's such an acting showcase.
Yes.
Melissa McCarthy and Richard E. Grant. It's basically a two-hander with a couple other glorified cameos, and it's a very good movie. It's very moving. It's very funny. But it is a movie, it sort of reminds you that no movie really directs itself. So even if it's not something as big and blustery as a Mission Impossible movie, or as, very directed with a capital D, like, You Were Never Here, these films don't make themselves. Even if it is a two-character, comedy or a character piece, they aren't good by accident.
No, it's absolutely true.
That's good. And I'm glad you gave that movie a shout out. I think that one's going to get a lot of love in our group.
Probably, yeah. I that one. That's another one for the weekend.
You have to watch.
I have a lot to watch this weekend.
All right. Moving on to male director. I'm going to start this one because I want to give a very oddball choice here because I feel like this is not on anyone's list, but something that I feel like he really deserves this is Peter Hedges for Ben Is Back.
Absolutely. I would agree with that. That is a beautifully directed. That is a great film. He got me to see this one. He's kept pushing me to see it, and I wanted to.
Yeah.
But my God, what a powerhouse film.
It feels. We there's a lot of movies this year where they feel very personal. This one I felt very personal. Mm-hmm. Performances are very raw. Again, it's very similar, not in tone to Can You Ever Forgive Me, but it's very much a two-person show, and it's the two of them going back and forth, and just the way these certain scenes in these movies that he captures they're haunting, and it's just an incredible film, and I hope more people go see it next weekend when it opens.
Yeah, me too. It's an emotional punch, but it's wow. I think almost everyone can relate to something in that movie, and Julia Roberts and Lucas Hedges are just outstanding performances.
Yeah. Did you see that one yet?
Not yet. It's on my list because I like her.
Yeah, she's great.
How about you, Jimmy? Give us one.
For director, I'm kind of predictable. There is one movie that I've been talking about that I love, and I want to see Bradley Cooper get love. I love Star is Born. I remember seeing the trailer and like, this is a really good trailer. There's no way the movie could be this good. And I saw the movie and I'm like, holy crap. It's raw, it's passionate, it's powerful, it's moving. It's really a beautiful movie. And he did an amazing job. It feels alive. It feels brutal. It feels emotionally honest. And the concert sequences look gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
I love this film, and I don't think he'd get both for Best Actor, and I think there's probably better performances male lead wise, but I would say, yeah, I'm going for Cooper.
Okay.
I'm going for a very boring choice, and I apologize, but Spike Lee for Black Klansman.
No, not
That is
boring
not,
at all.
that is not a boring choice. That was on my list.
I think
My
he
list
might
too.
win the Oscar, so it's not exactly a out of left field.
What an amazing movie!
It is. It certainly is best mainstream movie in a while. I mean, I do like Chirac. I do like any number of his documentaries, and I mean, for a guy that's as known as well as he is for being a feature filmmaker, if he wasn't known as a feature film director, he'd be known as a great documentary filmmaker.
Yeah,
but I'm getting off the plot. This is a film that unfortunately is the movie of the moment in terms of encapsulating where we are as a country and the fact that we are in the same place we've been since the dawn of time. And that any idea that we have progressed politically, socially, and racially was a mirage or a temporary, upswing. It is a rare movie that uses a past tense story of, in this case, racial strife, not to say, hey, look how bad things were back then. Aren't we better now? There are plenty of movies that I like that do that. I like Green Book.
Yeah,
I like
fine.
The Help.
Yeah.
But this is a film that uses that almost as a subtle, under the blanket kind of. Again, it gets you.
Yeah.
It's not really till the end that you're okay. No, he's not. This is right now.
Yeah.
And but the movie overall, it's about the mundane normalization of bigotry. that, you know, these characters, and I don't mean this as an insult because I think it's why the movie works, is they're boring. You know, they're relatively run-of-the-mill people that happen to be, you know, card-carrying racists. You know, they're not supervillains. They're not cross-burners. They're not, you know, it's, and I think, you know, by not making a choice to either humanize them, oh, gee, they also love their family, blah, 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 or make them somewhat extravagant, like, you know, pick your favorite Nazi from your favorite Holocaust movie.
Yeah.
You know, I think it does a great, I don't want to say a service because that's patronizing, but while also being a very funny picture.
Yeah.
You know, John David Washington is excellent in this picture. Adam Driver gives a wonderful supporting turn. But it is a film that what stuck out to me about it is how not outrageous, how not controversial, how not extreme it is, both in terms of its subject matter, in terms of how it's made. He, while using a few flourishes here and there, it is Spike Lee, allows the material to speak for itself.
Yeah. I'll never forget that Harry Belafonte scene. Oh my gosh, that's just...
Oh, it's a remarkable scene.
And the other scene where it's just the faces in the darkness. It's like...
Oh, during the speech?
Oh, what a beautiful
during the
film.
speech, yeah.
I would have no problems if he won. What a great job he did with that. I think it's definitely in the top 3 of my Spike Lee films.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's great.
One for me, I hope I don't butcher this, Yorgos Lanthimos for The Favorite.
Absolutely.
Just a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous film.
Amazing.
Talk about taking a period piece and spinning it and putting it on its head. I mean, this is just a gorgeous looking movie, and it's wacky and wild. And I kind of go hit and miss with him as a director. I know you mentioned that you liked Lobster. I'm more of a fan of The Killing of the Sacred Deer.
Okay.
But this one I think is his best to date, and just everything about this, even the performances and just the wacky humor. The only thing I would say about this movie that I didn't like so much was the chapter inserts, because I think it made the movie feel a little bit too long, because I was kind of like, how many chapters are there? And it just kind of kept going, and I was kind of like, I want this to kind of end now. Like it's great and it's wacky, but like, can we come to a close now, please?
You know, I've seen it twice, and it moves quicker every time.
It does.
Every time it moves
I find
quicker.
most movies do.
Yeah.
I wish I had time to see movies twice before I reviewed them.
Right.
Because quite often my initial complaints about pacing would lessen or evaporate.
Interesting.
That's true. I have that same reaction.
Maybe it's just because I know where the story's going, so I can...
there's some movies that take the opposite. That you're like, you're in the moment and you're feeling it, and you're like, oh, maybe there's a lot of hype around it, and then you see it the second time and you're like,
And also, you know, when I'm able to see a movie for a second time, by default, I'm able to pay more attention to how the pieces get make into a puzzle. But yeah, The Favorite, I loved it. It's so much fun.
Speaking, I'm glad you brought this up. I did a poll last week on my Twitter because I was so curious about this. So I asked people, before you make your best of list, how many times do you see a movie? And I was very surprised that once came in second place to that. I thought that the vast majority, which it was the vast majority, people said 2 or 3 times.
I agree. Yeah.
But it was weird that there was like a big percentage. I want to say it was like 30 to 35% of people said once. Because I get that like a movie's not going to have the same effect when you rewatch it in terms of like being like wowing. As wowing, but at the same time, when you revisit something, in my mind, if it holds up that second time, it shows how good of a movie it was.
I agree. Well, and these are movies that you have basically the best of the best, the cream of the crop. So most of them you'll probably be able to sit through a couple times, unless it's something really disturbing and dark. I don't know if I could watch, say, You Were Never Really Here again.
Like that's a good example.
But
or First Reformed, which is another great movie, but it's not like, that's a crowd pleaser. I want to go sit back and watch that movie.
Yeah, but no, I The Fountain I've actually watched 3 times.
Oh yeah,
and I've loved every single time, and I keep it's really hard to like, how can you pick a best performance too from that? I think I go with Olivia Colman because it's just insane, and I know people like that woman. So
Yeah.
it's insane. I loved it. But yeah, it's a beautiful film.
Am I
Great.
the only one that thinks it's absurd that she's being run as lead and the two of them
Oh,
are supporting?
everyone.
I
I think
agree. She's
everyone.
supporting.
She's supporting actress.
Rachel Weisz is the protagonist.
Emma Stone is the lead. Yes.
And Coleman is the MacGuffin.
There's this thing that came out. I don't know if it was just my friend who said this, but someone said like it was like category fraud
yeah.
because it just feels like Coleman is not the lead of this movie. It's Emma Stone's movie.
It's Emma Stone.
It sets up the movie opens with Emma Stone and it follows her to the end.
And
it's her
closes
journey.
on her.
Yes, it's her journey.
It's like, it's Heat, but you're running Val Kilmer as best actor.
Right. It's so strange.
Oh God, that last scene. Oh my God, I'm just like, oh my God, go see this movie. It's wild.
It's actually what I think is interesting is it's his most commercial picture. But
Yeah,
I would argue,
for sure.
It's the only one you could tell your grandmother to see.
Yeah.
And she'd probably enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it sacrifices any of the stuff that makes him unusual.
No, it's such a visual feast.
Yeah.
The way he uses the fish the
fish eye lens, yeah.
It's like it's weird. You never think that, and you're like, wait, it's kind of perfect actually.
Yeah. Do you have another pick?
For male director?
Yeah.
Sorry, I only did one for all the categories.
It's okay.
But no, I mean, he's never going to get nominated,
But maybe in our group he will.
Christopher McQuarrie for Mission Impossible 6.
There you go.
Honestly, I like Rogue Nation better, but
Me too.
in terms of putting the pieces together, in terms of making a coherent film, especially when, if what he says is true, they didn't necessarily have an entire script when they were shooting this. The fact that it looks as good as it does, it plays as well as it does, that it is a high IQ popcorn entertainment that, basically lets you have your cake and eat it too. It is, in an ideal world, all big scale blockbusters would be at least as good as Mission Impossible Fallout.
Yeah, it's pretty
And
amazing.
I think there's something to be said for him being able to make that kind of movie very well. Also Rogue Nation, also Jack Reacher, which is a very good, guns and explosions action thriller. It's from 6 years ago. It had the bad luck to be the first, guns and ammo film to come out after the Newtown shootings.
Yes.
But, 6 years later, it's aged very well as a very high quality pulpy picture. But yeah, I think there's value in recognizing, the top tier blockbustery movies. Perhaps even a popular film category, but that's another story.
How about for you? You got one more?
I'm gonna stick with, and it's going to be unpopular here, I think. And I can't even pronounce his last name. Luca got what the hell is his
Got a Lujo? I don't know.
I thought Suspiria was stunning. I visually, I could not take my eyes off this thing. I interviewed him for it, and I said to him, like, this doesn't look like, if I was watching this on TV, if you don't know any of these characters, you're like, when was this made? This is a 70s film. To make that a reality is amazing. I love this movie, and it's just wonderfully watchable. And I want you to see it again. I want you to give it one more chance.
Now.
Give it a chance.
All right.
It's visually stunning, and because if you think of it, it's not really a horror film.
No.
At all, and that's
No.
why I think it warrants the 2.5 hour time. It's just one of those things where I'm just like, I was totally enraptured with it the entire time, and the direction was gorgeous.
It's like lounging in a bubble bath.
Right. Yes. Absolutely.
It's very it's odd considering how grotesque it is sometimes, but it's a very relaxing,
incredibly grotesque.
It takes its time. It's a fun place to visit, even if you wouldn't want to live there.
Absolutely.
I don't necessarily think it's this great artistic masterpiece of our time, but it's a lot of fun. I genuinely enjoyed it, even as someone that generally considers his films the kind that I appreciate more than enjoy. I had a good time with Suspiria.
No. I'm the masterpiece guy, but yeah, I was so blown away.
You and Eric Eisenberg. I mean, Eric Eisenberg in our group, he loves it. I mean, he put that. We did a group pick over the last night into today, which we'll be sharing with everyone on Twitter later today, of one movie that we recommend seeing before award season. And it's interesting because he put that one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's great.
I love it. I know a lot of people, unfortunately, a lot of people across the globe didn't get to see it because it just didn't play in their cities. And it's a shame.
Amazon has had a very rough year.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Everything has fizzled for them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And with that being said, let's move on to Best Actress.
Oh, okay.
Right. So let's see. Who should we go? We'll go Mendelson first.
I hope I pronounced this right, but Amanda Steinberg for the
Yes!
Hate Me Give.
Yes!
Amazing.
Yes.
She's great.
It's one of my favorite films of the year. I mean, it's second. It's like I have my favorite film, which readers, if you know me, you can probably guess what it is. Got The Hate You Give, and like everything else, like it's a coin toss for 8 through 10 or whatever. It's a terrific movie star performance.
Yeah.
It is the kind of film and the kind of work that, like Shailene Woodley's work in The Fault in Our Stars,
Yes, yes.
would absolutely be considered an Oscar-worthy performance if it was in a more Oscar-respectable genre. Unfortunately, it didn't do terribly well financially because people are bluffing on Twitter. But I whine about that all the time.
Yep.
Also, Widows. Viola Davis, if she gets nominated, I'll be thrilled too.
Yeah.
But no, it's in a just world, it would be a star-making performance. It is such a good commercial, mainstream, high-quality character drama that should darn well be Hollywood's bread and butter.
While
also
I can't believe it.
somewhat subverting the young adult fantasy franchise trope
And making it good.
and making it good, and basically taking all the stuff that used to be subtext about the Hunger Games and Twilight and the Maze Runner and Divergent and making that text.
Treating it respectfully.
Yes.
And not treating it like, oh, it's like I'm a little teenage girl and this is my story. It's very deep. It's very dark and beautiful.
And it's so, there's so much movie in this movie. There's a lot of long movies this season. This is a 135-minute movie that is jam-packed with just great individual moments, great individual performances.
And did you realize she did the last song? She performs the last song in the movie.
I did not know.
I did
that.
not know that.
That really gorgeous ballad it's kind of a upbeat ballad. That is her.
Well, they needed to end on that. I mean, like the way that the movie is. I mean, it's a heavy film.
That girl is talented, man.
She was incredible. No, and I'm so glad I put her on my list too. She's my top choice for this category because this is a star-making performance, like you said. It is just a performance that people are not talking about, and I don't know why, because this movie got such great reaction at Toronto. And since then, it just kind of has, again, the word I've been using is sizzled out.
Yeah.
It just kind of disappeared. And you want to talk about a movie that addresses so many different issues. This movie does that. It talks about the difference in social classes. It talks about what it's like, kind of being one person and then having to be another person in front of different people. It has the whole racial card thing, which you can talk about with this film, and it handles it so beautifully through the eyes of a young girl. Something that we've had a lot of movies about race this year, but this one is doing that differently. It's true, a young 18-year-old, 17, 18-year-old girl who you kind of can see this perspective, a very unique and different perspective, not from the traditional guy point of view, even though you do have the supporting cast where you get to see that in as well. So I love her in this movie, and I am going to be devastated if she's not in this movie is not in at least one of our categories this year. It has to be because it's just that great. Yeah. Sorry.
No, and I agree fully. I finally saw it and I fell in love with it. It's a wonderful film, and I like her in everything. I liked her in that Darkest Minds movie.
I did too.
She was really good.
People not putting their money where their mouth is.
Exactly.
Yeah, yep.
Exactly.
How about for you?
Well, obvious. I'm all about Lady Gaga. The second I saw the film, that scene where she's in the restroom, I was like, I wasn't really a fan of hers. I really didn't care either way. I was watching the scene, I'm like, and then pretty much every moment on screen, she's amazing. It's very hard to play kind of an idea of who you are as who she is in the eyes of the public. It's such a perfect performance because she never overdoes it. It never feels forced. It's just a perfect performance. It really is. And the chemistry she has with Bradley is, I don't think I've seen better chemistry in a film this year. I haven't. It's really gorgeous. And I loved her, and I'm now a huge fan. I even got her a couple of her old albums. So
I mean, I think she gives a very emotional performance, riveting. I mean, she's incredible. She really holds this film on her shoulders, a lot of it. I mean, it is. That's why I think, in terms of the film itself, why I would say Bradley Cooper for director, not so much actor, because I just feel like she's really the weight of the film, and it relies so much on her performance and how she handles it, because she's the one. She is the star being born, so she is the center of the story.
Yeah, and I mean, look, he's amazing in it. He is great. Probably my favorite performance of his. But with that said, this is hers. This is her. She makes every moment count, and every song, every dialogue. That the scene in the bathtub where he basically tells her some not nice things.
Yes, yeah.
I'm like, she reacts exactly the way someone would react. It's such a brilliant performance, and she's hands down mine.
One that I want to throw out here, and I'm curious what you guys think, because it was a movie that came out very early in the year that I feel like a lot of groups, again, are not talking about. Sizzling out, baby, is Tully. Charlize Theron in Tully. Just another terrific powerhouse performance. One that I feel like if they swapped the release date with Frontrunner with Tully, it would have been a better choice, and Charlize would be in a lot of people's conversation right now.
Yeah, I think that's a movie. It might be one of my 10 best of the year. I haven't done the math yet. She's definitely in my 5 when I fill out the form.
Yeah.
And I think that's a film that unfortunately got whacked by call-out culture. In terms of, we complain a lot about the internet, basically, this movie's problematic, here's why, and big movies can survive that. Peter Rabbit can survive people complaining about the food allergy scene, or people complaining about whether Star is Born is enough about her and too much about him, or, whatever controversy about Green Book is going on this week.
Yeah.
But small films that people don't necessarily know about, when you Google Tully and the first 8 results on Google are why this movie is problematic for how it deals with, I'm not going to give it away, but it's subject matter that kills it.
Yeah.
And it was so frustrating to me to see that, because so much of that was written and passed around before the film even came out by people who had not seen the film.
I know.
People who had just seen the trailer or had seen the film and were upset that how dare the movie, a relatively grim movie, have a lighthearted trailer. I don't know how marketing works. But yes, putting that aside, it's a terrific character piece. And it's a very relatable picture. It's a very empathetic picture. And, she has been so good for so long that I think we're at a point of taking her for granted.
Yes.
But yeah, this is one that's definitely worth seeing before you write your lists.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry I stepped on your toes.
No. I wanted you. I wanted to pass it along because I wanted to see if someone else felt the same way I did.
Yeah, it's awesome.
No, Jimmy, do you have a last one you would point out?
I do, and how can you not have Elsie Fisher?
Oh
for
yeah,
8th grade?
yes.
Oh my, this is her movie. And she's every minute you see this poor girl going through the worst humiliating experiences of junior high, and she does it with just charm and delight, and you feel, and she's not afraid to be a jerk to her dad. Every moment with her dad, just that was tears. I was like, I love 8th grade. That probably will be one of my picks for Best Picture and Best Director as well.
Best first feature, best breakthrough actress. Yeah.
She's amazing, and we met her at that party, and she's really that delightful. Yeah. Oh my gosh! So yeah, I would love to see her get some serious, and I think she will.
Yeah,
I think she's going to get a lot of attention for this movie.
I think so too.
Good for her.
Moving on to Best Actor, this category I think is very complicated. I mean, actress is very complicated too, but these are the 2 hardest categories this year.
Gosh. So many great performances.
Yeah, so many. I mean, someone was like, "How come you didn't put my good friend Dimitri was like, oh, Bradley Cooper's not on your list for Best Actor?" I'm like, no, because there's other people who I would rather nominate.
Yeah.
That's fine.
You're wrong, but that's fine. I will take the oddball one and support what this guy's outfit is wearing, and I'm going to say Rami Malek is one of the performers for that.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. 100%.
No, I don't want to interrupt.
No.
Yeah,
we talk so much, but I want I'm literally just trying to like. He just captures everything that is Freddie Mercury, and I mean, I'm so glad that they didn't have him sing. I know a lot of people were complaining about that initially, but me and my wife Ashley have had conversations about this. Nobody can replace Freddie Mercury's voice.
No.
So it's great that they didn't even bother trying.
Don't even bother. Don't even bother trying to do that.
And it just, his mannerisms, the way he walks and carries himself,
Yes.
and the look and just everything, he became Freddie Mercury, and he's great.
And there's something to be said of a very strong performance that, for lack of a better word, tricks people into thinking they're watching a much better movie.
I'm going to disagree and say it is a better movie, but that's all
fair.
right.
No, I didn't hate it, but I wasn't huge. For example, Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean, Robert Downey Jr. in Iron Man. I'm going to be vague because there's an embargo, but Emily Blunt in Mary Poppins Returns. Where you have a very strong movie star performance that elevates the entire picture to where it is more successful and more acclaimed than it otherwise would be. And I think there's value in that.
Yeah.
Sure. And he captured, I mean, you watch Freddie, you watch the old interviews with Freddie Mercury, you definitely see that Rami was paying attention, and he really got the little eccentricities, he got the heart. He got the heart of Freddie, and it's I'm a fan. I love the movie more, maybe because I'm a huge Queen fan.
Yeah.
But I was enraptured by the music. I was I think you could have had a movie that was a much darker story and a much more telling of his life, but you know what, in this day and age, who wants that? I really wanted a celebration of the music and Freddie, and that's what we got. And Rami, absolutely, 100%. I think he was amazing.
As someone that is both a box office pundit and a film critic, Bohemian Rhapsody is one of those movies where I say, okay, the very reasons that I didn't like it are why it was so successful. Mm-hmm. And that's
For
okay.
Sure.
The same way for me with It, or, Star Wars The Force Awakens. The things that I nitpick, or Halloween, the things that caused me to not like the movie were very savvy commercial choices that paid off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All due respect to those who did like the movie, it's all subjective.
Yeah.
But so yeah,
It's subjective? We're not gonna have a fight about it,
No.
like on Twitter? Oh my gosh! Wow.
Have it for bed. Speaking of which, Mendelson, real quick, what is another best actor pick for
I
you?
have two I'd like to highlight.
Yeah,
really
go
quick.
for it, please.
The conventional choice, although no less deserving, is Ethan Hunt
Ethan Hunt didn't mind.
Freudian slip, Ethan Hawke
Yeah.
in First Reformed.
Oh,
Which
yes.
he's been doing wonderful genre work and wonderful quote unquote prestige work for 30 years. Mm-hmm. This is also a film that, along with Black Klansman, is going to be looked at as a movie of the moment. It's very briefly, it's a film about a preacher, pastor.
Yeah, pastor.
He just I don't know what his ranking is offhand, and he basically has to confront the idea that, what moral responsibility does he have to come out against those who would, in his church and for political reasons, would stay silent on the destruction of the planet.
Yes.
And as well as, quite frankly, and this is something that, as the father of three youngest children, what moral responsibility do I have as someone that brings children into a world that's might expire in a lifetime? Mm-hmm. What kind of world am I bringing my children into? And what moral judgment should I face as someone that knew that and had kids anyway? Obviously, it's a very depressing picture.
Sounds fun. Sounds like
It's really lighthearted.
Wow.
Yeah.
A24 clearly has a sense of humor because they sent me the screeners to Hereditary and First Reformed on the night of the midterm elections.
That's true.
So fortunately, that went okay.
Thankfully.
But no, it's a terrific old school movie star performance in a very, very good, very well reviewed, well received film. The other one is Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible Fallout, which
Ethan Hunt.
That's right. That has become, over 5 pictures, his defining role and his most autobiographical role in a way that frankly fascinates me. And it's a great movie star performance and a great big budget Hollywood spectacular. And I wouldn't, even though it's not going to happen, I would much, much, much rather see him win his Oscar for a movie like that versus, 20 years from now when he's playing an 80-year-old writer that finds his, spark again with a 25-year-old muse.
Yeah.
What about Born on the 4th of July 2? They could make that.
Well, that was
the sequel.
30 years too late.
Oh, damn
But
it.
yeah, no,
Damn it.
And, I would have been thrilled if he won for Magnolia, but, that didn't happen either. But with the idea that he's probably going to, there's something to be said about, movie stars winning for defining roles. whether he was the best of that year or not, I would have had no objection with Stallone winning for Creed, 3 years ago.
For sure. Yeah.
If he's going to win an acting Oscar, it might as well be for Rocky.
Oh, absolutely.
And even though I wasn't a huge fan of it, had Harrison Ford won for The Force Awakens, wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world.
Jimmy.
Sorry,
Scott.
No, go ahead.
I'm going to go with, I got two really quick ones.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the obvious Christian Bale and Vice.
Oh, yes.
I did not see him at all. I saw Dick Cheney. It's a phenomenal performance, and it's also a very humanized performance. Not getting too political, it wherever you stand, he doesn't mock the man. He doesn't insult the man, and he also doesn't make him a hero. It's a very, very, and you do not see Christian Bale at all. Another one I gotta give, and I loved Logan Marshall Green in Upgrade.
Interesting.
Amazing performance, wild, funny, charming. I love this performance. I love the movie. So he's got my oddball pick, but I think he's great. I love that performance a lot.
If you liked Venom.
Hey, I love Venom. So,
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, it's a better version of...
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
No, if you liked Venom, you'll love Upgrade.
Absolutely.
There you
If you
go.
liked Upgrade, check out Bad Samaritan when you get a chance. But that's another story.
Interesting. All right, so we unfortunately there was this shame of this show being we should have asked for more time initially because this it's okay no I knew we were going to always have too much to cover. So real quick, just like we did in our group, if you had to, and I know you have something for Best Picture, everyone give one choice.
Star is Born.
Paddington 2.
Good choice.
There you go.
Choice.
I would be fine with that.
And I'm going with Hate You Give, just because I just feel like we talked about already. It needs to be seen, and
Those are my
it's
two
important.
favorites by a mile.
3 of the best films of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
all these are great choices. Hope to be nominated. So real quick, just spill out where we can find you and all that good stuff. Promote the hell out of yourselves.
Forbes.com, Google Forbes Scott Mendelson, the ticket booth, some variation thereof. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, and I have other social media accounts, but I don't actually participate with them. They're just there for sharing my posts. So yeah, Scott Mendelson at Facebook, Scott Mendelson Twitter, yeah.
Jimmy to the O, Twitter, James Oster. I work for JoBlo.com, ArrowInTheHead.com. I'm a part of Flicks for Fans. Come and see me at the ArcLight for Anna and the Apocalypse this weekend. Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. Snapchat, whatever. I don't care. I'm on it, probably.
Probably. You
Usually
have a Snapchat?
I do, and I never use it really, but
Really?
it's kind of lame, yeah.
Yeah,
Kinda lame.
I don't use those.
My buddy got me
Snapchats.
into it, and now I'm just kind of like, it's kind of lame.
Gucci.
Actually, I did it wrong, but that's all right.
Yeah, we're supposed to do like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did this for some reason. I'm like Nixon, turkey duck, yeah, checkers. Anyway, I want to say thank you, of course, for watching this show. Next week we're gonna have another jam-packed episode because the nominees will be out. So we're going to be talking about what we thought of those, who was snubbed. We can snub people too. So we're curious to see what that's going to be. So check out the show next week. Like, comment, and subscribe. Tune into the other shows here on the Popcorn Talk Network. I, of course, am Scott Menzel of We Live Entertainment. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @TheOtherScottM. Until next time, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Gucci.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.